and welcome to our tutorial video with the world map overview of Battle Brothers. Now in this video we will take a look at the world map UI and the settlements that you have in the game. Now first off, your party is represented by this little character over here in the middle of the screen, and you will travel around the world, encounter enemies, take on contracts and do battle. So first off, the world is procedurally generated. I'm just gonna zoom out and show you the world. It's completely different every time you play. Now we are in the very northern part of the map, and there's icy, snowy plains, and then you have a tundra, then greenish fields, and in the very bottom you do have a desert if you have the Blazing Deserts DLC. Anyways, these cities are all procedurally generated. The noble houses in them, the locations, the forests, everything you see will be completely different every time you start up the game. Now, these different environments do have different battlefields attached to them. So, for example, when you're fighting in a forest, you will have a lot of trees in your way that hinder movement and make you slower. If you're fighting on the snow, it will be more fatiguing to move around. In the mountains you have, of course, hills, mountains, boulders, and so on. So the environment on the world map is actually represented in the combat, so you have to really be careful where to pick a fight. Now let's take a look at the resources and the UI of the world map. So let's quickly go over it. In the top left you have the crowns. This is your money. You will use it for basically everything in the game, from hiring new mercenaries to paying their daily wages, buying equipment, food, and so on. There you have provisions. Your men will eat provisions every day, and the more men you have, the more food you will need. Now here we have tools and supplies, very important to repair arms and armor after a fight when they get damaged. Ammunition, of course, is used to refill all the quivers of bows and bolts. And medical supplies are used to heal your soldiers after combat. Now here you can see the time of the day, because that can be very important for the lighting, and also during the night there's a severe penalty to ranged combat. Here is the your roster, where you can manage your characters, and we will go into that in a second. Then you have a center camera button, and can toggle the camera look. You can toggle footsteps that you will see on the world map, and larger footsteps represent a large party that just came by, and smaller footsteps a small one, and are also different. For example, if a couple of beasts like wolves came across your way, you will see beast-like footsteps and human footsteps for humans. Now you can also camp, forwarding time quickly on the world map. You have a retinue. This is a feature that will be only available with the Blazing Deserts DLC. You can have a obituary. Here you can see all the characters that died in battle under your command. And you can take a look at the relations to build with the noble houses of the world. So these noble houses are different every time you start a game, and will have a different motto and different characters representing them. So let's take a look into the most important screen, and that is your management of your troop. Down here you have all your characters that are in the fighting lines, and down here in the tent they are reserves, they will not fight. In the top this is your inventory. You have food, then you have consumable items here, and arms and armor. So for each mercenary you can change their equipment accordingly. For example, take out a knife and put it back into the stash, put it like so, get a helmet on that guy, and so on. Now this screen alone is rather complex, and is very important for your game, so we highly recommend you spend some time getting comfortable with all the options here, because in this video I will not go into this in that much detail. So here we go. Now here you have your different characters, your different warriors. They have different perks and abilities. Now these are perks and traits that are unique for every character. For example, this guy is irrational. and you can see the effect down there. Above that, there are the skills that you can use in combat, and these are determined by their equipment. For example, if I take off the wooden shield, the shield block skill and the shield wall skill would disappear, and here the skills appear again. So the spear does of course have different skills attached to it, and the axe another. So depending on the enemies you're fighting and how you level your characters, you might want to pick a different weapon. Down here you have all the character stats, and we recommend that you take a close look at them and see what each of it is doing. For example, melee skill gives the percentage to hit in close combat, range skill the percentage to hit with a ranged attack, and so on. The little stars you see over here are talents, so each time a character levels up, traits skills with a talent will have a higher increase. So having somebody with a talent in melee is a very good thing. This guy has a talent for hit points, so he can get very tanky. Now to the second big part of this screen, and that is the perk tree. The perks are the same for every character, and with each level that they level up, you can see the experience here, level 1, a new row gets unlocked, but for each point you can pick any skill from the unlocked row. So you don't have to pick, for example, with the second level, you don't have to pick a skill from this line. You can pick from anywhere above. Now, these get more and more powerful the further you advance, and they are very, very different. And picking the right perks for your company is very important, and you can use it to really fashion your troop to your playstyle. So this is about the management of the characters. And we will quickly go back to the world map, and then we will have a look at the cities. So let's advance time. Let's travel to the next city. Here you can see some attached locations. Each city has locations attached to it. For example, a furnace that will show that this city has a lot of ironsmiths. There are resource attached locations. So if you see a gem mine, it's highly probable that this city is going to sell gems. Now, this is the city screen. Here you can see your resources on the top. You can access your roster, where you can manage your troops. Now, most importantly, on the top left, you will see some contracts that you can take on. These contracts will usually be some locals that hire you to slay some monsters, avert some threats, or do some other tasks for them, and you get paid for them. So this is the bread and butter of the game. We will go into that later. And now here are the different buildings in the city. Each city, depending on the size of the city, has different buildings attached to them. Most importantly, you will have the marketplace. And this is a place where you can buy food, where you can get some weapons and some equipment. So in the early game, you will want to go here and gather some supplies. Now, for example, in this city, we also have a temple where you can heal your brothers, a armorer. That is a dedicated armor smith. So all these armors are quite expensive. So in the beginning of the game, you will usually want to buy at the marketplace. A tavern where rumors are shared about the world. And you can pick up some quite noteworthy rumors about legendary items. Yeah. And of course, you can see a crowd of people that are available for hire. You have a short background story. You will see how much they will cost depending on their experience and their equipment, and how much their daily wages are. Now, you don't really know what kind of traits these have, if they will be craven or if they will be sure-footed or anything. And it's always, you can always be unlucky and get a bad apple. But of course, you can also be very lucky and pick somebody who's very talented. Now, this concludes our very short overview of the world map, and in the next tutorial video we will be going a bit more into the depth of the options that you have on the world maps, and of course the first steps that you should take to advance in the game.